Part 1. The day it all began. A train, two strangers, and a dream. My name is Arya, and I am learning English. Today, I want to tell you the story of how my English journey began. It started on a warm summer morning, a day that felt normal but became very special for me. I was on a train traveling to visit my aunt. The sun was shining outside. People around me were reading newspapers or looking at their phones. I sat quietly with a notebook in my bag. I didn't have much confidence. My English was very basic. I knew some words, but I was too shy to speak. Two women were sitting across from me. I didn't know them. They were talking to each other in a language I did not understand at first. But then, I heard a few words I recognized: coffee, airport, and weekend. I realized they were speaking English. My heart started to beat faster. I listened carefully. I couldn't understand everything, but I could feel the rhythm of their voices. It sounded beautiful. I wished I could join their conversation. I wanted to speak English too, even if just a little, but I was afraid. What if I made a mistake? What if they laughed at me? Still, something inside me said, try. My father once told me, every big thing starts with one small step. So I took a breath, looked at them, and said, hello, do you speak English? They both smiled. One of them said, yes, we do. Her voice was kind. I told them, slowly and carefully, I am learning English. My words were simple. I made mistakes. But they listened to me with patience. They smiled and nodded. I felt safe. They told me they were from England. They had just attended a business conference and were now traveling home. We talked for almost 10 minutes. I asked where they were from. I told them I wanted to speak English better. I told them I was still learning and sometimes found it hard. They said I was doing very well. Their kind words gave me courage. When the train stopped, I stood up and said thank you. Then, something surprising happened. One of the ladies gave me a small piece of paper with a phone number and an address in London. She said, if you ever come to England, you can visit us. I was shocked. I smiled and said, thank you very much. Then we said goodbye. That night, I could not sleep. I kept thinking about what happened on the train. It was a short conversation, but it changed something in me. It gave me hope. I opened my notebook and wrote down all the words I remembered. Then I wrote about how I felt. I didn't think about grammar. I just wrote what was in my heart. That night, I started a new habit. I called it my emotion journal. Every evening, I wrote a little in English. I wrote about my day. I wrote about what made me happy or nervous. Sometimes, I only wrote 1 or 2 sentences. But it helped me remember words better. It helped me understand how I felt in English. Writing in my emotion journal became part of my life. It helped me connect my feelings to the words I was learning. I began to understand that English was not just a school subject. It was a way to share my thoughts and feelings with the world. That train ride was short, but it was the beginning of something big. I didn't know much English, but I used what I had. I was afraid, but I spoke anyway. And because of that, 2 kind strangers helped me believe that I could learn this language. Now, when I look back, I know that moment on the train was very important. It showed me that I didn't need perfect English to start. I just needed courage. That one small step opened the door to many beautiful things in my life. And that is how my English journey began, with 2 strangers, a simple hello, and a big dream. Part 2. From words to confidence, finding my way in London. 3 months after the train ride, I made a big decision. I moved to London to study English. I remembered the 2 kind women I met on the train. I didn't call them yet, but their words stayed in my heart. They gave me hope that I could learn English and speak it one day with confidence. On my first day in London, everything felt new. The streets were busy, the buildings were tall, and people walked fast. I felt small and nervous, but also excited. I was ready to begin a new chapter in my life. I arrived at the language school early. The building was big. I saw many students from different countries. Everyone seemed busy and confident. I felt shy, but I smiled and walked in. Then I met my teacher. She was young and friendly. She smiled and said, "Welcome. In this class, we speak English from the first day. Don't worry about grammar, just speak and enjoy." This was very different from how I learned English before. In my old school, we only learned grammar rules and memorized vocabulary. But here, we used English like a real language. We talked, listened, played games, and asked each other questions. At first, I was afraid to speak. I didn't want to make mistakes, but the teacher was very kind. She never laughed when we made mistakes. She helped us feel safe. She often said, "Mistakes are part of learning." In my class, I met students from all over the world. One student, Monica, was from Italy. She spoke English very well. When our teacher asked how she learned so fast, Monica said, "I read books, I listened to English every day, and I used shadowing and thinking aloud." I didn't know what those things meant, so I asked her later. She told me about shadowing. It means listening to someone speak English and then repeating what they say right away, like an echo. She said it helped her sound more natural. She also told me about thinking aloud. Every day, she talked to herself in English. She said things like, "I am cooking now," or "I feel happy today." At first, she felt strange, but over time, it helped her think in English without translating from Italian. I was very interested in her ideas. I wanted to try them too. So that night I started a new habit. I called it my voice diary. Every evening I recorded my voice on my phone. I talked about my day in English. At first, it was hard. I didn't like how I sounded. But after a few days, I noticed something amazing. I was speaking more clearly. I was more confident. I was proud of my progress. I also joined the school's football team. We had training 2 times a week. My teammates came from many countries, Brazil, Japan, Russia, and Spain. We spoke English on the field. Sometimes we didn't know the right words, but we helped each other. It was fun, and I made many friends. One day, something difficult happened. I was working at a cafe for extra practice. A man came to order coffee. He spoke English, but I couldn't understand him. His accent was very strong. I felt embarrassed. I said, "Sorry," and asked my boss for help. After the man left, I told my boss I was sorry I couldn't understand him. She smiled and said, "It's okay, he was Scottish. His accent is hard, even for some English people. You will understand more with time." That night, I searched online for videos with Scottish accents. I watched them again and again. At first, I didn't understand much, but slowly my ears got used to the sound. I started to hear more clearly. Every day I made small efforts. I read English stories. I listened to music and podcasts. I spoke to my classmates and myself. I recorded my voice. These small actions helped me grow. I began to believe in myself. My English was still not perfect, but I felt stronger. I was no longer afraid to speak. I knew that with practice, I could improve more and more. My journey in London was not always easy, but it was full of lessons. I was learning not only a language, but also how to be brave, how to try, and how to believe in myself. That is how I started turning words into confidence, step by step, day by day. Part 3. My secret formula: read, listen, speak, and believe. After living in London for 6 months, something special happened. One day at the cafe where I worked, I spoke to a customer from Canada. We talked for 15 minutes. She asked questions, and I answered them with confidence. I did not need to ask her to repeat anything. I spoke clearly, and she understood everything. When she left, she smiled and said, "Your English is very good." That night, I walked home feeling proud. I remembered the first day I came to London. Back then, I was afraid to speak. Now, I had a full conversation in English, and it felt natural. I realized that I had come a long way. So how did I improve my English? What really helped me? I want to share my secret with you. It is simple, and anyone can do it. I call it my secret formula: read, listen, speak, and believe. First, I started reading every day. I didn't read grammar books. I read simple stories and articles that I enjoyed. Sometimes I read about travel, sometimes about music or food. I chose topics I liked. I read for 30 minutes each day. When I didn't know a word, I looked it up, but I didn't stop reading. Slowly, I began to understand more. I also saw how words were used in real sentences. This helped me learn grammar without even studying it. Second, I listened to English as much as possible. I listened to podcasts on the bus. I watched videos on YouTube. I listened to slow conversations between native speakers. I didn't try to understand every word. I just focused on the meaning. If I enjoyed the topic, I kept listening again and again. With time, my ears got better. I started to understand faster. I noticed different accents. I could even understand Scottish English after practicing for a while. Third, I spoke every day. At first, I had no one to talk to. So I talked to myself. I described what I was doing. I said things like, "Now I'm making tea," or "I feel tired today, but I want to keep learning." Later, I recorded my voice in what I called my voice diary. I listened to my recordings and smiled when I saw my progress. I also joined conversations at school and work. I was not afraid of mistakes anymore. I knew that each time I spoke, I was training my brain and my mouth to work together. But the last part of my formula is the most important. It is to believe. Believe in yourself. At the beginning, I didn't think I could learn English. I thought I was too old, too shy, or not smart enough. But then I remembered the train ride, the two kind women, and the small success I had. Each little moment gave me more belief in myself. I started writing letters to my future self every week. I wrote about what I learned and how I felt. Sometimes the letters were short, but they helped me stay motivated. I called them my weekly progress letters. They reminded me that learning a language takes time, but I was moving forward. 1 year after my first English conversation on the train, I got a new job. I started teaching beginner English students. At first, I felt nervous. But then I remembered how I started with just a few words and a big dream. I told my students, "You don't have to be perfect, you just have to begin." I use the same techniques with my students now. I ask them to read things they enjoy, to listen every day, to speak out loud, and to write about their feelings. I remind them to believe in themselves, even on hard days. Because that is how I learned English, not by magic, not by talent, but by daily practice and small steps. So, if you're reading this and you want to learn English too, here is my message for you. You can do it. Start with what you know. Use English every day. Make it part of your life. Don't worry about mistakes. Just read, listen, speak, and believe. That is the secret that changed my life, and it can change yours too. Arya's story is a beautiful journey of hope, effort, and belief. She started with very few English words. She was shy and afraid to speak. But one small conversation on a train changed her life. That moment gave her courage. It showed her that learning English is possible, even when you are just a beginner. When Arya moved to London, she didn't know what to expect. But step by step, she learned how to grow. She listened, she read. She spoke, even when it was difficult. She made mistakes, but she kept going. She created small habits like the emotion journal, the voice diary, and weekly letters to herself. These simple actions helped her become stronger, more confident, and more fluent in English. She met friends from all over the world. She learned new techniques like shadowing and thinking aloud. She faced challenges like not understanding different accents. But she found ways to improve, one day at a time. Her dream was not just to speak English. Her real dream was to connect with people, to express her ideas, and to feel proud of herself. After 1 year, she became a teacher. She helped new students just like her. She didn't wait to become perfect. She started where she was, and that was enough. So what can we learn from Arya's story? The biggest lesson is this: you don't need to be perfect to begin. You just need to start. And once you start, you must keep going. Read every day. Listen every day. Speak every day. And most important, believe in yourself. Every small step matters. Now, congratulations to you. You listened to the full story. That means you are improving your English listening and understanding skills. You are taking small steps just like Arya did. And if you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to our channel to support us. It gives us energy to make more content for you. If you would like to donate, it helps us a lot. In the beginning, it's very hard to create high-quality content for free. But we do it because we want to help you learn English in a simple, fun, and real way. Thank you so much for listening. Keep learning. Keep believing. And remember, your English journey begins with one small step.